So today's talk's about open to receive and being open to receive. The word is that it's an infinitely abundant universe, as far as we know. And that's only as far as we know, because it's as far as we can know. But there's more of it out there that we're still discovering. And every time we look, there's even more of it to discover. We take a telescope and we put it in space and we find that there's even more of it to discover. They take a picture of a little grain of sand for 11 days and they find it's filled with galaxies. The amount of stuff that is available and substance that is available in this life that we have is incalculable. It's an abundant universe. But more importantly, for us, there's this thing called spirit, life, what we like to term mind, the presence. Some call it God. Whatever that happens to be and however you happen to name it, it is the part of us that is alive, that is active, that is conscious, that we are present here and we are living a life. It's all about an infinite creative idea, expressing through all of this stuff that we see, that we're discovering in life, the experiences that we have, all of the good that we experience. So this infinite presence, this infinite source, this idea that in the beginning said, let there be light, and acted only upon the only thing that it could, itself, and created all of that, is still present right now and embodied in us. So all of the potential good that there is available to us right now. So how come it doesn't seem like it sometimes? How come we feel like, where's mine? How come I can't seem to get to that place that I want to get to? How come I feel like I'm isolated from that person over there? That I'm not understood? That I can't seem to make the bills on time? Whatever the challenge may be, that is some apparent idea that there's not enough, or a lack of something in our life, whether it's love or friendship, whether it's prosperity and abundance, whether it's the feeling of desperation and isolation that can come upon us when we feel alone in this life. All of those are bringing an idea of lack into our consciousness. It's an expression of an idea of lack in our consciousness. It's about what happened in the past. It's about projecting past hurts and past disappointments into our present moment, into the now, where we expect again want to be disappointed, to be let down, to be isolated, to feel alone or unloved. In New Thought, we're very much about the idea that there is a cause and effect that is happening always. And the cause, like the primary cause of this grand universe and life that we're living in, is an invisible cause. It is a cause of thought. It begins in an idea. For us, it begins in the ideas that we hold as true, or our belief structure. Call it your BS. It's what we've taken to be real in life and projected that onto what's happening around us and said, this is the truth for me. And quite often, for me, and I'll say this for me because I'm not going to put this on you guys, what happens in my mind is I go, I can't. Some part of me says, I just don't see that happening. I might have a desire for something to come about in my life. It might be a deeper relationship with my spiritual truth. It might be a deeper relationship with my immediate family, with my colleagues, with this teaching. It might be an experience of enough. Yet somewhere in my mind, that little voice starts saying, That can't be so. You can't have that. I'm not good enough. That's what it really comes down to. The bottom line is always, I'm not good enough. That's what stops us from experiencing the limitless source of good that is present for us and available to us in each moment. That's what Holmes was talking about. There is a power and a presence and a power for good in the universe, and we can use it. Yet we have to use it for it to respond to us. Because it's just going to sit there. And as long as we're not using it, it's not going to bring good into our life. It's going to continue to function in the way that it always does, by responding to whatever we're thinking. And if we're thinking about, I can't, the universe complies fully and says, okay, I'm good with that. I'm going to let it stop right there. And what happens is then we believe that there's no power. We turn around from the place because we've said, I can't, and the universe has responded by saying, okay, you can't. And from there we believe that there is no power. Yet strangely enough, there's all of these moments, and we all have the moments where a glimmer of light shines and it changes. There's that moment of hope. Perhaps you're in a desperate situation, or not even in a desperate situation, an uncomfortable situation. There's a moment of hope that comes by that says, this is going to change. I can get through this. I can move into a better idea, into a better way of looking at this. Perhaps it's changing our perspective about something that's happened to us and letting go of the old idea and coming into a new idea for that. That's called forgiveness. Whether it's for a condition or a person or yourself and something you may have done in the past, you forgive that and let it go, and it opens up this idea where we can begin to receive a better experience of life. As long as we focus on that part of ourselves that is putting it in the, nope, this is going to be this way forever, the universe is going to say, yep, as long as you're going to accept that, I'm going to give it to you. Instead, we can open ourselves up to a bigger idea. See, because those are our small ideas. The idea that I can't, that I shouldn't, that it wouldn't be appropriate. Sometimes that's true. Sometimes it's not appropriate. Sometimes that's a good meter on not doing something that may produce more chaos than you intended. But what happens when we change our idea to a bigger idea? For ourselves first, because you cannot pour from an empty cup. When you're feeling alone and desperate and in despair, it's very hard to go out and give someone of your joy and love and peace. But if we can change our idea just a little bit, that I'm open to receive a better experience in my life, that a better experience is mine by inheritance of my being alive today, then things begin to shift. And there's some real specific ways we can go about doing this. So instead of the little chatterbox in the mind that wants to tell you that you can't, you have to actively promote the idea that you can. That I'm open to receive greater ideas of my life right now. That wherever I am now, I can experience my life in a greater way, in a more prosperous way, in a more joyous way, in a more loving way. And then it goes one step further. See, so once we get away from the idea that I can't, and it's going to edge back in every now and then, because I don't think anybody does this perfect. I know I don't. I'll fall into those old thinking patterns. But if I am conscious of my thoughts, if I'm conscious and aware of my thoughts, and I bring myself to a realization of a greater experience of life for me and through me and as me, then good things begin to happen. I become open to accepting a greater idea of what life could be. But it begins with the thought that the possibility exists. So what I turn around for myself and say is, and I'm borrowing this from my co-minister, is I want this to be 10% better than I can imagine. Well, that's open to a bigger idea. That's opening ourselves to allow something to begin to germinate in our experience that reinforces the good idea as opposed to the not so good idea, the one that's producing a negative effect that we might want to get rid of in our lives. And then there's an even bigger idea. And the bigger idea is, how can I be of service? For myself, this was a turning point in my life. When I stopped, like you can't pour from an empty cup, and you have to get spiritually fed in yourself to get to a point where you're at least neutral. And what shifted me from neutral to good was to ask, how can I be of service? And what this does is it's changing from a taking and a needy and a lack-filled idea of my life to a giving of the gift that you've been given as life, to bring that into a greater expression. And this is where what we tend to term the miraculous starts to happen, but it's not really miraculous, it's ordinary. It's what happens all the time. We turn ourselves into a channel and say, how can I give of myself? What do I have available that I can share with other people to pack something good into the stream of life? And when I'm open to those ideas, the creativity just flows through me. Perhaps it's as simple as holding the door for someone to make their day a little bit better, or a simple smile to a stranger. That brings along a physiological response. Smiling at somebody brings along a physiological response and a desire to respond in kind, unless they're so closed down. But it's still going to be a better thing. And that's just the little stuff. Think of the big stuff that could be done when you give of yourself and the gifts and the talents that you have. The possibilities are limitless. We can go to that next level. So I invite you, as you go about your week, there's a couple of different things. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here. Dave, could you pass these out? There's a couple of different things that we can do. One is when you find yourself in a negative mode of mind, consciously change it. Say to yourself, I reject this idea of negativism, and I accept a positive expression of life. Whatever the opposite of that is. Think I can. So I just handed out these cards. Essentially, these are what we call rapid pace affirmations. They're a great way to change your thinking on a regular basis. So when you find yourself in a dimmer place than being the bright light of God's love right now, you can just repeat these to yourself. So what I'd like you to do is read the card once through by yourself quietly, and then we're going to say it together. Okay? Everybody there? Okay, so let's go. I am worthy. I am prosperous. I am enough. I am beautiful. I am powerful. I am gifted. I am loved. Say it again. I am worthy. I am prosperous. I am enough. I am beautiful. I am powerful. I am gifted. I am loved. Some of those are going to resonate more strongly with you than others. But I invite you as you go through your week to take this with you, and anytime you're feeling like you're not being the channel of the good you want to see in the world and experience for yourself in the world, pull this out and say it to yourself a couple of times. Put it somewhere where you're going to see it. Because as we remind ourselves of these aspects of our being, because everybody has these aspects of our being become more apparent for ourselves and others, and life becomes that bigger idea. So when you're open to receive the good in your life, becoming a channel of that good becomes much easier in your life and for those around you. So I invite you to do that. Namaste.